G'day guys, kia ora, my name is Wildkard. Chiefs versus Waratahs, Super Rugby round 8, Waikato. I really thought the Waratahs had a good chance of beating the Chiefs this week, especially with the number of key players injured from the Chiefs team. You know, Nana Sotudo, Damian McKenzie, massive players in the Chiefs backline that was missing. Leroy Carter playing out of position at outside center. Really, and especially knowing that Carter isn't really that great of a defensive player, I really felt that the Waratahs could have exploited that a little bit. And boy, the Chiefs, based on my preview, I felt like they had a much stronger tight five. Just the locks that they had available for them, stacked with the All Blacks, and the scrum dominance and a lot of physicality in the form of like players like Finau and Jacobson. I really thought the Chiefs were potentially stronger in the four pack, and sure enough, despite the weaknesses in the backline that potentially could have been exploited for the Waratahs really did none of that. On the other hand, the Chiefs have studied where their strengths was and really just exploited that, like just compounded that throughout the entire game. And it was just really brutal. And the entire Chiefs attack, I would say 70%, like the majority of it, were kept within maybe one or two passes around the rock, right? They had like the wider balls were very infrequent for the Chiefs, and they just kept it tight, and they belted that physicality into the Waratahs forwards, and then compounded that with the scrum dominance, with the line-out dominance, with the set-piece dominance, just build a lot of fatigue, and then they brought in their centers and some of that that speed they had out wide. Close. I just had like players like Quinton Tupaia, running like undersline back into where the rock is, essentially. Just punching through that, that little 9-10 gap there, and then just compounding that physical forward dominance into fatigue into Waratahs 4-pack, and then just bringing in their fresh backs to run out your tired forwards in the tight areas, and just work like a charm all night. The kicking game didn't really, it was pretty bad for both teams, the kicking game, but the Chiefs probably didn't really need that much kicking, whereas the Waratahs, I don't even know they had a plan in terms of kicking at all. It was just, it was really, really tough to watch, just strategically going into this game. You've already lost from the get-go for the Tars. And there is quite a few changes, I understand, for the Waratahs backline. Crichton is not there, and there has with Swatley out early in the season, and then you have that outside center position kind of being rotating around quite a bit as well. Just this lack of consistency there, and this just big disconnect, right, between your 10, 12, 13, and that disconnect kind of resulted in the players out wide. Like your real threats are where the real potential edge that the Waratahs had, where they could actually win the game, right? Where in the form of Jorgensen and in the form of Andrew Callaway, two Wallabies, and they were hardly given the opportunity. They were hardly getting the ball at all, let alone anybody around the park that is setting them up for any sort of meaningful opportunities to exploit. Like a one-on-one situation, or maybe even giving some space to run at Tamoi Falau, who's a younger player, to run at at Leroy Carter at 13, who really isn't that great of a defensive player, in my opinion. Some people might disagree. Just none of that was being utilized to our advantage, and then just allowing a 4-pack getting just completely overworked in the tight areas. And one of the things that I really question, like I think that's one of the things that I've been asking myself quite a bit. If you look at the Springboks, there's a cohesion between the forwards and backs, and not just the Springboks. Even if you look at the All Blacks, you look at all the French team, there's a cohesion between the forwards and backs, right? One of the best players under the high board, like the box kick for the Springboks, believe it or not, is Jasper Visa, the number 8. Not criticizing Samu here for the Waratahs, but when it comes to the kicking game, when the Waratahs deploys the kicking game, it's like it's the backs business. The forwards are just like nothing for me to see here, right? In the second half, the Springboks will bring on someone like, Wildkard Smith, and his job is to follow up these kicks, right? And again, it's like a 1-2 punch, right? Cheslin Kobe or Kurti Adensa goes under the high ball. If they get it, great. If they don't get it, you have players like Visa and Wildkard Smith immediately at the breakdown and try to get the turnover and force a penalty. I just don't see that from the Waratahs kicking game at all. And then, like, the kicking game was like hardly pressured. Even if you was pressured, say Jorgensen was there, there's no one to you'll see, like, no offense, the backs, you will see, the center or someone to follow this up, and not someone like Wildkard Smith, who's a turnover specialist, following this up. And I just to me, it's not like we don't have the talent to do that. We've got Charlie Gamble, one of the best flankers in Australia right now, and he's not doing it, not because he doesn't know how to do it, because in my opinion, they never trained for this to be a game plan, right? It's like they're never even being directed to even like think about doing this, right? That this high ball's going out. First of all, you put it up, right? Who's doing the chase? Who's doing the follow up? It's almost just like, yep, that's just the back's business. We'll let the centers do the follow up. You need the centers for the defense. If you don't win the ball, if the opposition get the ball, you need the centers to be out and defend, right? And if you have your centers going in to try to get the turnover, and if you don't win the high ball immediately, and maybe there's an awkward bounce or something, suddenly you're left with a bunch of props defending wide open center field, and that's how you get like these run through tries in midfield from these kicking game that just suddenly bounce and the counter attack and you're gone. It's because the setup isn't done correctly to begin with. So I just a little thing that a little bit frustrated about. So not only that they're not connecting it, but they're not really following it up correctly. Even when they do try to do these sort of like kicking again, the box kicks and stuff. And finally, I swear this is just the last bit of a rant I'm going to talk about. Again, I will go back to the Springboks. I will go back to probably the Springboks would be the best example of this. The Irish does this quite a bit as well. Is they have a fundamental like bread and butter to go back to if things aren't going correctly. Okay, if you go out there, you're gonna club it in the face. If you're a fighter, if you're a UFC fighter, generally, right? If you're a stand-up boxer, you will probably retreat a little bit, try to mitigate any, if you get rocked, try to mitigate any potential knockout punch that's going to swing out your way. Try to regroup yourself. If you're boxing, you try to grab someone and go into the clinch illegally or legally or whatever, and try to get the referee to break it up and give yourself a breather. If you're a jiu-jitsu practitioner, you try to pull guard or something. If you get rocked and try to go yourself in a defensive position, it's like the default, the bread and butter, right? What is the default for the Waratahs? Anyone? Do we have a default like game plan? The Springboks default is the maul or the scrum. The scrum is probably the default of the default, right? They all have a default. When things isn't going right, the good teams have a default they can go to and settle things and rebuild and reclaim the momentum. The Waratahs didn't have that, and what we saw is just randomly kicking the ball away. Players it was just a bit of a mess in the second half. Especially when the scoreboard start getting out of hand for the Chiefs, and that's the thing, right? Like, one of the things that I thought let's give a good example for the Wallabies. One of the things that I thought the Wallabies did really well is they may not have the best, this and that, stats. But the one thing the Wallabies, I thought, did really well, I think the starting Dave Rennies, in fact, I have to give credit to Dave Rennie for this, is that when things, they have a set, a set, I guess, maybe, what you might call it, not really a trick play, but a set play that they've planned ahead. in a scrum, whether it be from a scrum or a line out. And you'll just be like something really simple, like just throwing the ball over the top and straight to the 12, right? And it's the 12 run up and get the ball, like something like that, right? Just something that is simple, something that is bit, a little bit unexpected, and then just something that they've just drilled again and again and again and again and again, and it'll guarantee them, getting over the advantage line. Guarantee them, getting the ball, to an area where they wanted to go. Guarantee them to get a clean exit, right, or whatever. So they have like a set play. Sometimes they can just get a try out of it. They've worked out where the defensive might, where the defense might be weak, how you can draw maybe the 4-pack out and then do a switch back in the blind side or something. And then there's a default, like a set move that they go to, like almost like a trick play that they go to when things aren't going right to maybe just not only that, to settle their nerves, but because they drill this so much that there's a high probability they're going to get momentum out of this, or even just straight up a try out of this one set play. I don't think I've seen that from the Waratahs. I don't think I've seen that from the Waratahs at all. I don't think there is if you go look at the line options, it's so predictable, like more over the top, whoops, not straight, right? Like over the top, if in the 5-meter line, you're trying to exit straight to the try to get some, instead of like a front and then crash, you try to go straight over so that the 10 or whatever get the ball at 12, and then you can do the exit kick from there, right? Like, so you can skip like one of the crash balls, I guess. Like this, it's so predictable, and none of it is it's set up to exploit like a weakness. None of them it's really, it's just so predictable, so easily defended, and often because it's so predictable, you end up losing the ball, or you end up actually not getting the result you're looking for. In fact, you're getting backwards momentum against you. All right, so so that's just my little rant about this Waratahs performance there. Outside of that, I thought, one of the things you could do is, like, Charlie Gamble is so good at the breakdowns. How are we setting him up to isolate players at the breakdowns, right? Jogo is so good with his speed. How are we setting him up to kick the ball to him, passing the ball to him in space? Maybe bring him in. If he's too far out and he's not getting the ball, bring him in closer, right? He does not have to be standing right by the sideline every minute of the game. You can bring him in and try to do something that nobody's expecting. Crash him around crash him through the 9 channel or 10 channel, right? No one was, that might actually work because no one will be expecting that, right? Just stuff like that. Like, it's you gotta like, these players are not even getting utilized to their full potentials because we haven't been structuring anything around the strengths that we have, right? And Steve Harvey had a pretty tough game today. Again, he's really, really good. Obviously a young player under a lot of pressure. Finau put a massive hit on Amone or whatever his name is, number 18, the prop. Massive, just huge players colliding with each other. That was quite good. And then, Quinton Tupaia from the Chiefs, absolute superhuman performance, bumping people off left and right. 2 tries tonight or something? 2 or 3 tries tonight as well. But yeah. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. That's my little rant about the Waratahs. Anyway, let's look at the stats of the game. 6 tries to the Chiefs, the Waratahs 2. 453 run meters to the Waratahs 260. Boy, that's 260. That is really low. 17 turnovers conceded for both teams. 107 tackles made for the Chiefs. 24 missed tackles. So the tackle completion is not that great for the Chiefs, right? They're not impenetrable defense by any means, based on this completion rate. 152 tackles made and 26 missed tackles for the Waratahs. So actual better completion rate there. Kicks in play, 32 for the Chiefs, 24 for the Waratahs. 3 missed conversions as well without D-Mac for the Chiefs. Harvey 100%, 2 out of 2. 885 kick meters from the Chiefs, 672 for the Waratahs. I mean, like, anyway, I don't even know what you're doing there. Oh yeah, 2 scrum, like multiple scrum turnovers against the Waratahs. Boy, so 13 lineouts for the Chiefs, 1 loss. 17 for the Waratahs, 3 lost. Not too bad, but scrum was absolute disaster. 6 for the Chiefs, 3 scrum for the Waratahs, 3 lost. Just I watched it. The way I see it is that I don't know. Is the ground really soft or something? Like there was a number of times where the Waratahs was not able to cope with the hit, and they just folded from the hit. And then let alone the Chiefs did a really good job to time the put in. The Waratahs already under pressure from the hit, and then as soon as the ball goes in, the Chiefs just extended forward and baited the Waratahs into like a coil from the hit, and then just followed this through. And I did mention that Jay Gordon's feed was really quick for the Waratahs, and maybe if you see that your team didn't get the hit, don't put the ball in. Right, I mean the camera angles now. I don't know what's going on with the camera angles now. A lot of times they're zoomed out. But yeah, maybe not to be too quick sometimes, just to change things up a little bit. But that's again something. It was pretty horrendous. There's a lot of work to do there. 7 penalties conceded for the Chiefs. Yeah, only 2 penalties inside your own half. So the goal kicking, if you were to use that as a game plan, would not have worked because there would only be 2 kickable penalties for the entire game. For the Waratahs, 9 penalties, because not too bad either. 6 penalties kickable inside their own 22. So, yeah, pretty painful. Let's have a quick recap of the tries. Boy, 6 tries to 2. So, yeah, 8 minutes in, there was just scrum dominance from the Chiefs. There was like a little half break there was a pick and go from Boshia at the Boshia. And then the ball was kicked through, and Sid Harvey missed the ball on the bounce, and then Tamoe Falau gets the bounce for the try, 5 points to 0. 15 minutes, it was a penalty for the Chiefs. They kicked this one, 8 points to 0. 27 minutes in the game, the Waratahs were just getting pounded. Lots of repeated penalties. I'm surprised no one from the Waratahs got sent off during this period, but eventually Somasoni Takiyaho got a nice little short ball and pounded himself through for the try. 13 points to 0. 30 minutes into the game, finally the Waratahs got some momentum. They rolled their sleeves up, just being patient and just kept the tie with the forwards. So the 4-pack definitely has the ability to break the defense and to grind the Chiefs, All Blacks tied 5 down. So eventually they got really close, really nice, clinical, and eventually the ball went out wide. Good hands to long passes to Harvey, who went in for the try. 13 points to 7. At this point, I did begin to notice that Debrasini was defending at 13. So I'm not too sure what's going on there. He was out wide instead of defending the 10 channel. Not too sure what the idea is there, because he is quite a big boy to be at his. Anyway, so I thought he did okay. The rush defense, he moved up to shut down the 13 quite a few times. So he actually did decent for that. But he is a little bit slower, to be honest, out wide. So if the ball did get outside of him, he was struggling a little bit to cover that, in my opinion. Just before half time, 37 minutes, Quinton Tupaya, another run through. I think this is where he kind of he ran through like he did like a unders run, just ran through like a bunch of tie forwards, and then he eventually bumped over like Harvey as well. And then there was a few pick and goes, got really close to try line, and eventually Tupaya himself went back and picked him, and went for the try. 20 points to 7. Just before half time, another penalty. The Chiefs kick another one. 23 points to 7 going in at half time. Second half, 7 minutes into the second half, 6 minutes in the second half, the Chiefs get themselves a scrum penalty, and then just built that into another like 5 meter close, just pick and drives, and eventually Quinton Tupaya, he got the ball 5 meters out. He had Tristan Riley and at least one other player trying to hold him up, and he just pumped those legs 5 meters forward with 2 players on him, and still went over to try line and put the ball down. Yeah, not held up at all. Just really, I don't know what to say, power and determination. 30 points to 70. 30 points to 7. 60 minutes in the game, there was a nice little short play just around the rocks. Tupava'i kind of ran a little gap, popped it through to Norris, who ran through. He got tackled and then popped the ball off the ground to Samapenny Finau, and then he went in for the try. 37 points to 7. And then 70 minutes in the game, there looked like a bit of obstruction, to be honest. The Waratahs was building in front of the goalpost, following a bunch of penalties that was given out against the Chiefs. And it looked like Joey Walton and Samuel did a cross. And then Ratama tackled Joey Walton. And then Samuel just like ran through where Ratama was supposed to be defending. But TMO said I was okay. I thought that was obstruction. But hey, 37 points to 14. And finally, just before full time, this was the Waratahs attacking. The ball went out to Riley and Tamoe Falau. Nice rush defense and smacked into him and then caused a knock on. And then Tamoe Falau scooped it up, ran 60 meters down the other end to finish the game. 42 points to 14 for the Chiefs. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a good one. I'll see you guys a bit later for the Brumbies game. Cheers.